I had a doctor's appointment yesterday and of course I took the opportunity to go thrifting. So I'm going to show what I found. First I got more picture frames, 2 silver or chrome ones. This one has a kind of funny format. And then these 3 wooden ones. These have all similar colors, so they're kind of matching, which is nice. And picture frames always are just so cheap. Secondhand, I paid around €1 for each of these. So then I found a pair of sunglasses, these ones. They are brown and there is no brand, but they feel fine. They don't seem to be scratched and it seems like they are okay quality. And the reason I got them was to test the rounded shape of them, because I kind of like it. Then I got this Uniqlo bag. It seems to be unused and I think it's the mini bag. It is quite similar to the bag that I made myself. It is a bit smaller, so I thought this would be kind of nice to have just to carry my cameras when I'm out and about, because I am trying to get into the habit to bring my film cameras. Like I have 3 different point and shoot film cameras, and I also have some rolls of film that kind of need to be used before they expire. I think this is like the perfect size to just carry my cameras when I'm just going for a walk and I don't want to bring any more items with me. And yeah, this was €2. And then for clothes, I got this long sleeve shirt. It also doesn't seem to be worn in any way. It does have these nice details at the cuff and on the collar. So it's like a rolled hem. That's kind of cute. It's by the brand S. Oliver. I don't really know if that's a common brand outside of Germany, but in Germany it used to be a quite common brand. I think they're not that popular anymore, but it's kind of good quality, and this is a viscose and cotton blend and it's in my favorite shade of green. I actually didn't try it on, maybe I should do that. And then I got an item off of my thrifted wish list, because I keep lists of that. I keep lists of everything, I love lists. But I thought in this year I'm trying to focus on cardigans instead of sweaters, because I really do have enough sweaters to last me a few years, but I only have like 2 cardigans. This was a great find because it is a black cardigan with a V-neck, and the best part of this is it has mother of pearl buttons. And it is 100% cashmere. It has been worn, but it isn't bad. Like there is tiny bits of pilling on the side, as you would expect with cashmere. And I'm just going to shave that down, give it a good wash, hand wash of course, and then it's good to go. There are no holes or any damage in it. So yeah, and this was €5, which is a steal for a really nice cashmere cardigan. And then finally I got 3 CDs. First one is Tracy Chapman, Crossroads. I really love Tracy Chapman. I think she's such a gem and her music is so lovely. Also the cover art is really, really nice. And then I got a greatest hits sample of Simon & Garfunkel. I am still going strong with avoiding streaming services and listen to my music that I have on CD and vinyl and on my computer. So I also found my old iPod Nano. I just don't seem to still have the charging cable for that one, but you can buy these for €5 on the internet. So maybe I will do that and try to get my old iPod working again. That would be fun, but it is like over 15 years old at this point, so I don't really know, but this iPod was my life back when I was a teenager, so maybe that would be fun if I can get it back to life. Here we have some footsteps of a dog, not this one, but no footsteps of a human. So I guess it must be a fox, according to the size, because there were some sightings of wolves here. And not only sightings, they found, I think, 2 or 3 dead ones over the past years as well. So, yeah, but I think wolves would have bigger footprints than these ones. So these are the ones I'm talking about. And there are different ones on this side as well. So they go all the way up here. I think they must belong to a fox. Or a wolf. I don't know. But it's kind of cool. I really like it when there's snow and I can finally see what Fenchel is smelling all the time. I can see all the traces and all the footprints of the different animals. And I can finally understand what is so exciting and why she has to stop and sniff all the time. So that's a cool effect of the snow. I haven't talked about books in a while, so I thought I would give an update on my reading. I tried to remember the last book that I talked about on here, but I actually don't really have an idea. Oh, there's a cat outside of my window. It's my cat, so she uses the rose garden in front of my window as a toilet. How nice of her. So I'm trying to get through all of the books I read over the past months, just generally. The first book is Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector, and this was beautifully written, but for my taste personally, I missed a bit of plot. I didn't really grasp what was going on, like what was the story? Was there a story? I don't really know. I do like a combination of beautiful language and a plot that I'm kind of invested in, or characters that I'm invested in, or that I can identify with. So I thought this was borderline poetry. It was more poetic, but it didn't really get to me on a personal level, but that's fine. I'm still glad I read it. Next is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, and this is the German translation, so it does have a different title, by Olga Tokarczuk, and I absolutely love this one. I'm not sure, but I think my camera focused on the plant that was in front of me, so I try to turn it. This was everything I want in a good novel. Now it comes back and it steals my focus. It does. Can you please go somewhere else? The writing was immaculate, the story was amazing, I loved the characters, and it spoke on so many topics to me on a personal level. This is one of my favorite books now. Then I read Either Or by Elif Batuman. This is a follow-up novel of The Idiot, and these are the same characters in the same story. And I absolutely love The Idiot. It's one of my favorite books, and I also love this one. It's still, the story and the characters is still great. And it was a bit more graphic than The Idiot, which sometimes was a bit too much for my taste, but I still love this very much. I think I love The Idiot a tiny bit more, but this was also really, really good. Then I listened to the audiobook of The World According to Garb, and I also have this beautiful vintage copy here that I got secondhand. This was really funny. I really like the language. I read the backs of some other John Irving books, and I feel like it's kind of always the same, so I don't really feel the need to read more of him right now. It seems like he always writes about wrestling and writing, so I feel like that's enough for me for now, but I did really enjoy this one, and I think it was funny in a really absurd way. Next I read Inseparable by Simone de Beauvoir, and this was a buddy read with a friend of mine. I thought it was really good. It's quite short, and I think it's like an easy read for Simone de Beauvoir, especially because she tends to write a lot. It was good, I enjoyed it, but it didn't change my life. Then I also read Angel by Elizabeth Taylor. I gave it to my mom, so I don't have my copy here right now, but that was a really good read as well. I can recommend reading it. It's very absurd and kind of crazy in some ways, but also very well written, and it's a really good book, so I can recommend that. Then I read Good Morning Midnight by Jean Rhys. It is quite depressive and sad, but also beautiful. I like the scenery and the setting of Paris in the 1930s, so I can also recommend reading this one. It's also quite short. And then I read Frankenstein, which is in this collection of Gothic novels. There's also The Castle of Otranto, which I also read, and Vathek. I started reading Vathek. It was a bit too much of exoticism and consequently racism in there for me, and I couldn't really get into the story, and it was too much. There are novels where I can excuse the language or the views of the people with them being written in a certain time and with certain opinions in society, but with this one it was too much for me. The Castle of Otranto was a classic Gothic novel, and it was fine to read, but it also didn't really leave an impression on me. And then Frankenstein, I really enjoyed the vibe of it and the scenery, and it was the perfect Gothic images in my head, but the characters were quite annoying, especially the main character. But then it's also kind of iconic that Mary Shelley wrote this, so she just wrote about a whining man who couldn't face the consequences of his actions. So that's also kind of cool. But yeah, I was a bit in between with this one. Then I read The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion, which was lovely. It's a memoir. I really like her use of language, and it's a well-known and well-loved book for a reason, and I also enjoyed reading this one very much. Then I read The Bluest Eyes by Toni Morrison. It's the German translation, and this is also very well written. Toni Morrison is an amazing writer, and I also read Sula by her. I had to skip a few pages at the end because I couldn't deal with the cruelty of it all, but that's a personal issue that has nothing to do with the book or the quality of the book. It is a very, very good and accurate depiction of human beings and human behavior and human cruelty towards each other, and of course racism. A really good portrayal of all of that. Sometimes I'm just a bit too sensitive for this graphic portrayal of cruelty, so yeah, but doesn't say anything about the quality of the novel. It's an amazing novel. She's an amazing writer, and I can really recommend it, but it is a bit of a tough read, so yeah. Then I read The Vegetarian by Han Kang, and this was quite similar. There were some scenes in the beginning that, especially one scene where there was a graphic description of cruelty against a dog, and I couldn't sleep the whole night after reading that one, so I almost stopped reading it, but I actually did finish, and I'm a bit torn with this one. I kind of enjoyed reading it, but also I was constantly fearing another cruel graphic description of something that I don't really want to read about. So I think it was a bit on the edge for me reading this. Then I read Stoner by John Williams, and this one I really enjoyed. This is also kind of sad and depressive novel, and the story is kind of tragic. It's also very well written, and I really liked the images I had in my head. And then finally, the first book I read and finished in 2026 is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and this was great. This is also a gothic novel, and it's such an epic story, and the tension that builds up and the thriller-like components, it's really good. I just finished Rebecca last night, so I started reading A Matter of Appearance by Emily Wells yesterday. I'm just 25 pages in, so I can't really say much about it, but it's a memoir and it's about chronic illness and the political side of some of it, so it's right up my alley, and so far I think I'm going to really enjoy reading this, or at least feel very seen in it. So that is my current read. So I don't actually have any specific goals or plans for reading in 2026. Maybe read a bit more slowly and think about what I'm reading, writing down some thoughts, writing down some quotations, annotate the books. So I think that's more of a direction I want to head towards with my reading, but I don't have like a number in mind. I read 60 books in 2025. I don't have a feeling towards this number, or I don't plan on recreating this exact number. I will just read what speaks to me, and if that's a lot, I'm going to read a lot, and if it's less, then that's also fine. I also stopped logging my books into the story graph. I didn't really use it that much before. I just logged my books and sometimes looked at my statistics, but that's pretty much all I did there, so I felt like it was a bit unnecessary to continue doing that, because I can also just write down the books that I read and then have a list, and that's also everything that I actually want to know about my reading. If you've seen my last videos, you probably know this little notebook that I made. It's my annotations notebook system for reading. So I have some pens in here, some sticky notes, marker thingies, I don't know, and some more transparent sticky notes. And then I have my reading notebook in here. So I'm just going to put in some thoughts and quotations about the book that I'm reading. On the last pages I started a list of just the books that I read with the author and the dates. I think for me personally that's all I need to know. And that's also a way of reducing a bit of screen time for me, which is something that I'm working on and that I'm also kind of successful with. I really don't want to replace my phone. I don't plan on having a flip phone anytime soon, because I still think smartphones are a very nice tool to have, but they also have a very problematic and toxic side to them, and I'm trying to reduce just a bit of the problematic side of using too much screens. And this is one way of doing that, is just get rid of the unnecessary stuff that you can easily replace by something else. I feel like that's a trend that is going around, and some of it just is very ridiculous to me, to be honest, and some of it is very useful. I'm also working on writing an essay about that on Substack, so that is going to be online very soon, or maybe it's already online when this video comes up. But yeah, that's something that is on my mind quite a lot right now. So that's that. That's the reading update.